Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And as the member for St. John continues to heckle and try to use star candidate terms, I want to apologize to all Manitobans watching this, because this is really disappointing. One would think that we would get more out of elected officials. I sit here and I watch as fairly new to the House, and I am shocked by the allegations and false information and the twisting that is put on the record. And I've talked about this before. And now, for the residents at home, you can see that the Free Press has recently written an article about that, saying it has to stop. This is told to you that it's a motion. This is wanting to fix the healthcare system. But you know what it is? It is propaganda. It's election propaganda, because I don't hear anything being put forward other than negativity. I don't hear anything being put forward other than fiction. And what I don't hear is solutions, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I would think the Manitobans who are paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary for the members opposite, that they will want something better from those opposition members. They will want them to be a part of the solutions. I don't hear solutions. I don't hear how they intend to pay for it. I mean, I could go on just like the members opposite and talk about what happened during their time, but I choose to be an adult. I choose to put facts on the record, and I'm not even going to use the facts that we all know that happened during their time in government. But let's talk about some facts. There was a global pandemic, and we lost people all around the world. It was a disaster in history. It has never happened before. It was a 100-year incident. And people throughout the globe didn't know how to deal with it. People were afraid. People were looking for answers. They were looking for hope. They were looking for leadership. People want to see their leaders come forward with solutions. They don't want to hear rhetoric. They don't want to hear all of the, propaganda. They don't want to hear you twist the facts. They want the truth. And the truth is, all across Canada, there are fewer nurses in almost every province and territory. All across the United States, there are fewer nurses and doctors than before the pandemic. Now, the members opposite want you to believe that it's simply a problem here. But that's not the fact. The fact is, and you know the fact. The fact is that this was a global situation. So as opposed to just being negative and hoping that people get on to that negativity and make false accusations and call, as the member opposite has done before from Fort St. John, or from St. John, call me names. It's not necessary. I think we're all here to solve a problem. I think we're all here to solve a problem. And the problem that we have to solve for you, first of all, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the problem we have to solve for Manitobans is the nonsense that goes on in here. We have to focus on what's getting done. So let's talk about what's getting done. What will that mean to Manitobans tomorrow, a month from now, and a year from now? Well, I'm proud that we have followed through on a campaign by-election promise, and that was $30 million to the Grace Hospital to expand their intensive care unit. And I got to go there on Grace Day and talk to the chief medical officer, who was ecstatic, who talked about how this is exactly the type of stuff that they need to see happen. We need to talk about the positives. We need to talk about positives with the staff. We continue to hear stories that come from members opposite. We hear these stories, we don't see if they're reported. We don't know where they come from. We don't know where they've gone. What we need to do is continue to listen to Manitobans as we are, which is why we also are now providing diabetes pumps and glucose monitor coverage to all Manitobans, regardless of age. Because why? You'll hear from members opposite, well, that's an election promise. And trust me, that's what they're going to tell you. But it's not. It's proactive care because we want to help Manitobans that have diabetes so you don't have to go to hospitals. We want a healthier Manitoba. And that doesn't get fixed overnight. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care what anybody promises you. You're smarter than that. You know better than that. You know that this is an election. You know that you're hearing nonsense and you're not hearing facts. You've seen it now in the Winnipeg Free Press. Tom Broadbeck wrote about it. We've now seen an article in the Winnipeg Sun talking about it. In fact, calling out politicians to stop. That Manitobans, they are looking for real leadership, not games, not propaganda, not twisted facts. They want the truth. The truth is we are working hard to get more medical staff here in the province of Manitoba. We put forward $200 million. Did it fix the problem overnight? No. Could it? No. Because we're up against BC. We're up against Alberta. We're up against Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, and everywhere in the United States and everywhere else. I have a friend of my son who's finishing medical school who's had offers from countries that I don't even know. I mean, they're coming into him from all around the globe. All kinds of great offers, because that's the reality in today's world, and Manitobans know that. So when you start comparing Manitoba to every other province, let's look at the reality. The reality is Canada is bringing more and more new Canadians to our country, which is great. But the Liberal NDP-led government at the federal level hasn't taken that into consideration when they've expanded funding for health care. As we bring in more people, we need the feds, we need the Liberal NDP coalition to continue to increase money that goes to health care. We know this. I know Manitobans know this. I've talked to them while door knocking. I've talked to them at events. I hear this from medical people. We are not here to play games with your money. And that means spending hours in here pretending like this is an incredibly important motion that's being put forward or a bill, when really it's part of opposition day, it's part of the election propaganda. We know the election is coming up. It's not a secret. We're not fooling anybody. What we have to do is continue to work for Manitobans. And I feel confident that the steps we're taking with the $200 million to attract, retain, and train more medical officials is working. We saw a trip to the Philippines, and all that you hear from the members opposite is negative, negative, but we have more nurses coming. We're working to change the policies that were put in place long before us, and we know they have to be changed, and we're getting that job done. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for an elected official to continue to manipulate the facts and bring up propaganda and go on and on about the negative? Or do you want somebody who you know can at least admit to the reality, and the reality is we're working hard to get it done, or just say we can fix it overnight? I think you know the answer to that, and I'll leave it there. Hear, hear.